Welcome to Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
Oh my God, are you seeing this shit, bro? Tesla closed at $695. What the hell is going on?
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
Now with IBM getting here, I think it's just going to come more to the forefront, and people are going to get more and more eyeballs on Salesforce. Should see a really nice move.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
We got D's nuts in the crew. Every crew needs D's nuts. You know what D's nuts' #1 holding is? Big C.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom over there. And as you can see, we are not in the same space. There's been some weather issues, in case you haven't heard, and so it forced me to stay home. So I am working from home. Fat Man Zoom still at the studio, of course, but lots of things to talk about. Fat Man Zoom, just another crazy day in the market.
Yeah, it was a tough day, a tough morning for sure. I'll be honest, I've been a little bit off the grid just because when days get crazy like this, the more I sit in it, the more I get emotional.
Yeah.
But I did notice in our Discord, a lot of people were saying things were starting to come back a little bit. But yeah, it's been a wild day. Some things had earnings, some things moved down. Obviously, I'm not sure how much it had to do with the Robinhood, the GameStop situation in Congress, those hearings. But man, it was a wild morning.
Yeah, that's to say the least. I actually ended up selling out of some stuff, took some L's on some things, but got into some good stocks and starting to work my way back up. So I'm not nearly as down as much today, currently, as I was this morning. So feeling pretty good about that overall. Grabbing some dips on some really great stocks and kind of cutting the fat as far as speculative things go. But yeah, the Robinhood saga, if you will, has also been ongoing. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I put out a post at Own the Chaos, by the way, if you want to go check me out, and it's at Fat Man Zoom on Twitter as well. So Keith Gill, the guy who put a $50,000 bet on GameStop back in Fat Man Zoom, 2019, somewhere around there, was also interviewed by Congress. And it's just been a shit show. The whole thing has been, but basically said that, his handle on Reddit and on YouTube was Roaring Kitty, and he had to, I guess, come out and say that he was not a cat. And so that was one of the highlights of Congress. It's just been absolutely insane. Vlad came out, and I kind of did want to talk about this a little bit. Vlad did come out and talk about some of the limitations that prevented them from, caused them to stop the trading within GameStop. And a lot of it had to do, he won't come out and directly say this, but it seems to me, and the general consensus is, it came down to a liquidity issue and him having to meet the requirements set down by the SEC. And that's really what caused this whole thing. Conspiracy theories aside, it seems to be what the story that he's been sticking to this entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts surrounding that and a lot of things we can dig into. First, I just want to shout out our top 5: Nate, Jeff Chocolate, Rudy Brown, Ross Matthews, and Eldon Rudy. You are our top 5 for the day. And just so anybody knows, I know some people were asking questions about what's going to happen today. We are going to go over Big C earnings. I know that wasn't in the title, but we're going to watch Big C and Roku earnings.
Yep.
We're going to talk about some earnings that have already happened, but we're going to get into all those conversations. We're also going to talk a little bit about Palantir. Their lockup period ended, what that means. Yep. So there's a lot of topics that we're going to go over and we'll discuss. If you notice, we changed up the time a little bit. So we thought that doing it at 3:30 Eastern time allows us to always watch earnings. So if there's this particular one you guys want us to watch, we can do that. This gives us a little bit more flexibility, but we certainly will be keeping our eye on Roku and Big C for sure. So we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, all the talk is the GameStop situation. I'll make some general observations, and I think we just need some time to process everything after it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But here's my initial observations. Like I've been jumping in and out of the commentary. Obviously, I've been seeing on Twitter. It's funny, like just sort of tongue-in-cheek conversation. I don't know if you saw the part where they were like, point of order, everybody make sure you mute yourselves. It's just so funny to see the struggle is real even for politicians in Congress.
That is pretty funny.
They did that. And then the cat is just going to go off. And I am not a cat. I can't wait for the memes that do. Remember the lawyer
Yes.
that was like the cat filter?
Yeah.
They got to be some memes there.
You would think there has to be something. Yeah.
So that was hilarious. But it's a joke. And, the thing that's frustrating about Congress is it's not any of these hearings is, as a CEO, you got to be careful about what you say.
Right.
And us as observers want to just get a yes or no. And a lot of the questions were like, give us a yes or no. And Vlad wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure I don't like him. Let me be clear. I'm not on Vlad's side. I'm not on Robinhood's side, but just sort of trying to be as level-headed as possible and as diplomatic as possible. Doesn't matter who it is. Any CEO is going to get advised to not get stuck in a yes or no question.
Right.
And so I don't blame him for skirting it. It's more the way the system's set up that he has to do that. And it's obnoxious. Like, tell me yes or no. There's a liquidity issue. I will say a couple times he earned some points with me, just as far as like finally taking accountability. That's been my issue this entire time with him. Is like he always blames somebody else.
Yeah.
He finally was like, you know what? We made some mistakes. We're going to learn from them, and we're going to ensure that this doesn't happen again. That's all you had to say from the jump.
Right.
Right. I will tell you what I haven't heard the answer to, and you could tell me I may have missed it, but they've talked about them shutting off one side of the trade for retailers. And I know they've said, well, you only did it for retailers. I haven't heard them directly address, well, you let institutions do both sides. Like they've pointed it out, but they haven't directly asked them, why did you not stop it for institutions on the buy side as well?
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard an answer as far as that's concerned either. And they had the president of Citadel on there as well, and that dude was just like as stone-faced as could be. Really got nothing out of him either. It is kind of refreshing to at least see Congress grill everybody. But the funny part is, I think the ironic part about all of this is that Congress gets the same answers from these guys as individual congressmen or women give whenever they're asked a difficult question too. It's just like, there's no absolute that you're going to give a yes or no. You're just going to, give both kind of answer, and which is what everybody hates at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think, this is part of a larger discussion that people don't care about on here, but like as sort of a philosophical discussion, I think that the way they structure it doesn't make sense. You can tell politicians, it's clear they don't know what they're talking about. No. They don't really know what they're talking about. And they have talking points and they're reading from a statement, and when they're talking, you can tell like you really don't understand how this works or what the real problem is. And my problem with these hearings is I'm glad that they're grilling, but why don't they bring experts in?
Yeah.
Like allow experts to grill and or at least have the other side of the case. Like, okay, in your view, what did you see? Right. Imagine Jim Cramer up there.
Right. Yeah. Or even like,
great.
I felt like I got more. I don't know if you guys have checked out the All In podcast, but Vlad was on there. Chamath asked him some pretty difficult questions. You had, what's his name? The host of the whole show that basically was kissing ass the whole time. But everybody else in that group did ask some pretty difficult questions. I don't think Chamath was actually happy with the way that, it was handled or asked. But check out the All In podcast because I felt like I got more out of that than I did from Congress in general. But yeah, man, I just think that it seems as if, and obviously it does, but it feels a lot like the Facebook, Google, Twitter, congressional meeting with those guys where there's just going to be a lot of shouting and yelling and scolding, and then nothing's going to really come of it. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. And I did watch that. It is. I have respect for Vlad putting his feet to the fire because there's co-founders. There's two people that are in this game, right?
Yeah.
And he's obviously the CEO, and so he should be the forward facing. But to his credit, he is standing in there. But my God, is that guy a douche? I mean, that guy is a douche.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just looks like you just look at him and you're like, what? Oh, he just annoys me. But here's the big takeaway. So when they were talking about what is it? Oh, pay for work order flow.
Work order flow. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one thing, like ultimately that's going to come from this, and it'll be interesting to see how brokers respond and make a determination on how you feel about this. But they're bringing up a good point. And again, with these politicians not really understanding how it works, like one of them tried to make a point about them being, his point was, he was trying to make a point that who are your real customers, which is a very valid point.
Yes.
Who are you serving? Because we'll get back to this, but they're not serving you guys who are in Robinhood. You're not the customer.
No.
Like you're just not.
Right.
So that was the point he was trying to make. But the way he went about it was he tries to say, well, can your Robinhood people buy shares of your company? The answer is no. He said, well, we're private. And like, that's a whole different argument.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But like you didn't do your homework because they were going to IPO. So like Vlad, I'm surprised Vlad didn't say, well, we're actually in the process of going public. And that's actually a real opportunity because he could have gotten schooled. He didn't say that for whatever reason, maybe because the IPO isn't happening anymore. But again, I understand your point, but the way you're going at it is wrong. However, some commentary on it that I really liked, which I agree with, is who is a customer? And it's no different than Facebook. If you are on Facebook, you are not the customer.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to build you up. You are the product.
Yeah.
And the same for Robinhood. You are the product. And the more of you they get, the more money they can command in the general marketplace. It's the same for Facebook, the advertisers, TV. It's been like this forever. You're not the product. It's very rare. I can't think of a time when you are the product. Yeah.
I mean, it is. And it's very telling. Like, it was amazing that they were able to just raise $3.5 billion overnight like that. You know, as far as being able to, come up with the funds to be able to meet the SEC requirements that Vlad was talking about. Like, I don't know how you just do that. You just come up with $3.5 billion in a mere matter of hours. I think that does, speak to the potential that Robinhood's investors see in Robinhood. So there's definitely, I guess, some for people who think that, or were interested in buying their IPO or investing in Robinhood itself. And I actually talked about doing this when we were talking about some of the IPOs that were coming out for this year in 2021. Robinhood was obviously a topic of discussion. For them to just come up with money like that, on the spot, and that it's a ridiculous amount of money. That I guess in a way, despite how I feel about Vlad and Robinhood in general, does speak to me a little bit about the confidence that some of the investors in Robinhood have in the company itself. And I think that they do still IPO. My knee-jerk reaction was like, there's no way this is going to happen. And this is just kind of like a WeWork situation all over again. But I think that they do end up IPOing, and I think that they're going to do really, really well as a result of their IPO.
Well, again, what you have to get is institutions.
Yeah.
Retail's great. Retail's icing on the cake.
Right.
And institutions could care less. Or I guess I keep saying it wrong. Couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Institutions couldn't care less about like the GameStop as far as the reality is they want their money. Now, they want to ensure that doesn't happen again, that you've done your due diligence to cover that up. But like, they're not out here looking out for the retail guy.
No. Right.
And so all they care about is that Robinhood was the number one app downloaded during that time of the GameStop situation.
Yeah,
Robinhood has record numbers.
Yeah.
Like if you look at it from a business perspective, it's a great opportunity, a great So it's a great opportunity. So as far as an IPO, I don't think it's going to stop anybody. Maybe it's going to give a little bit of caution. I don't think they do it this year. I just don't see how that's even possible. I think they just got to wait till everything clears and we're on to the next big thing or big scandal or whatever.
Yeah. Latest I've heard was that they were going to do it this quarter, and now they push it back to second quarter of this year. We'll see if they push that back even further. But I mean, I guess it wouldn't be too surprising if we did see that from them. Couple of people were saying that any publicity is good publicity, which I guess probably there's some truth to that, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the thing about this, Robinhood targets people that are new to trading. And so most people don't know what happened with GameStop if you're new to trading. Like most people aren't going to know what a short squeeze is. They're not going to know what was the institutions versus retailers and what was wrong with the situation. And so from their perspective, if it didn't impact them, if their money wasn't in it, they're not going to be like, I don't think they're even going to know enough to care. And so all that is free publicity at that point. You're getting a name out there. So yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. One thing that was brought up that I think we need to remember is that Robinhood did have an SEC violation back in December.
$65 million fine.
Yeah, and they got a $65 million fine, but it was for this. It was for misleading customers again, like not your customer, but misleading your quote unquote customer. And it's surrounding this thing. And Robinhood's response is kind of like, well, we got to get paid somehow. Like, how did they think? Right.
Right.
But you know, I'm going to have to bring up Chamath. It's just, he's my hero. But I'm sorry, if you look at how Chamath handles his businesses, he's direct, he's straightforward, he's honest. You approach him with a question, right? No matter how incendiary, he'll answer it, and he's transparent. Yeah. Vlad is not. And these are two examples, right? Is an old way of doing things and the new way of doing things. Elon's the same way. Elon's going to give it to you how it is. And these are the people I want to get behind. Dave Portnoy, obviously, he's not the CEO, but he's sort of the representative for Barstool.
Yeah, he's the face of the company.
Moving the pen forward. He's another one.
Right. Yeah, so, I agree.
So this idea of misleading, don't think that these slap on the wrist is going to fundamentally change these people. Vlad is shady. Like, I'm sorry. There's some, I don't even care if they don't find anything out of this investigation. Yep. The reality is he's kind of a used car salesman. I don't want to get behind a company like that. And I don't even know what to believe from him. It sounds like maybe there's nothing going on. I still find that hard to believe. And I think I'm getting sort of fed lip service, but even if there wasn't anything going on, he's too shady for me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% on board with you. I was just trying to play a little bit of a devil's advocate as far as from an investing standpoint. I think the business model and them going public and everything, I think there's still going to be enough institutions behind them because the institutions know who the product is and just how much they're going to bring in. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Moving on, we have a lot of other things to get to. So the stock market's been down pretty much all week. I saw a lot of people within our Chaos crew, that were a little bit nervous. And, I was pretty emphatic over the last couple of weeks that there will not be a crash. I did not say, however, that there could not be corrections. We always talk about this. The stock market doesn't go straight up all the time. So we took a little bit of a breather. I don't think that in any way, shape, or form that does this mean that the stock market's crashing. We have plenty of tailwinds coming from the economy side of things. Retail spending in January was astronomical, beat by, was it 400%? They were expecting only about 1% to 1.5% increase. It was like 5% increase in retail sales in January, which is unbelievable. The number of COVID cases are plummeting, which is also great. People are expecting that we could be reopening sooner rather than later. So a lot of really good things here. And I think there's some more tailwinds than anything for the market. We still have stimulus in the works here as well. So I think, in my opinion, I ended up moving out of some of my speculative stocks and moving into the more quality companies. And that's kind of been my strategy up to this point. Seems to be working out. But nevertheless, I think just the market in and of itself has just got some profit taking going on. You got to remember, guys, I mean, the market moved up almost for 2 weeks straight. We had green days. So this was healthy. I think this is normal, and there's nothing really to worry about. I've just been seeing YouTubers and influencers and the like just talking about a potential crash. It's been driving me crazy. So I want to make sure that I address this. Fat Man Zoom, what say you?
I look at my account, I've had 2 red days, to be honest. And I agree with you. I like the idea of sort of, we talked about this morning, is like analyzing your risk. And in our level 3 live trading Zoom, you talked about, moving into the more sure bets, growth stocks, big, like blue chip companies.
Yeah, right.
I think this is a great time to just analyze your portfolio in general. How much exposure do you have spec, high risk, as opposed to stable and cash, and just sort of reevaluating and being prepared going into this, looking at upside and really just trying to look at the chart. These red zone days that we talk about, they're tough, but the hope should be, or the promise should be, everything's down.
Yeah.
So if you still feel bullish on the overall market, then you should be okay. Just positioning yourself to have some cash available, know which ones your high conviction trades are, and just playing out your strategy. It's not easy. It's not fun. But as I think about my red days, I always look at my balance. I'll do it like maybe once a week, and I'll look at the chart. So TD Ameritrade, Webull does this too. It has a chart, just like any other chart, and it has it of my account balance.
Yeah.
And after that 2-week run you talked about of green days, I was at all-time highs. And I've pulled back, but I'm still in the position where I'm still making higher highs and higher lows. And so I like to look at my balance and that graph the same way, that chart the same way that I look at any stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks it's on a pullback, but if I prepare and I do well enough, the next move, I'll make a higher high. That's my hope.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, these are just pullbacks. At the end of the day, profit gets taken all of the time. So I think it's just really good opportunities. Some of the ones that, that I ended up moving into, I ended up moving more money into Disney. I moved more money into Peloton. Peloton came down to a really nice level. I love that. Also loaded the boat on Tesla as well. A couple of other really good ones. And these are all just kind of like my core group of stocks. So if you guys, you should, at least in my opinion, have that core group of stocks that you always kind of flock back to. Those ones that you know really well, that are really good companies, and you'll be fine. I think that people always kind of talk about a pending crash, and I guess at some point they talk about it every day. One day they're bound to be right. But, there's one thing that's never happened before. 2 stock market crashes in consecutive years. There's never been a crash when interest rates have been this low, or pretty much zero. So, still nothing to worry about. I'm good. I think that just moving it into good quality stocks is the play here. I think you'll be just fine.
So why don't you give them 1 or 2 of your stocks that you feel, we'll just say high conviction stocks?
Yeah. So for me, I think that my highest conviction stock is probably going to be Penn National. One of the big reasons is because during this correction, Penn has done really, really well, holding between that 110 and 120 area. So I'll go ahead and just kind of share my screen here real quick. Let me get that pulled up on Webull. So, we have March Madness coming up, which is the number 1 sports betting event of the year. And actually, Fat Man Zoom, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you were the one that pointed out that the Super Bowl is actually number 2 compared to March Madness, which is number 1. Is that correct?
Yeah. So as an event, so we were talking about Super Bowl is the biggest trading or biggest gambling day. So it's one day, more money's put on it. But as an event, more money is put on March Madness, and then it's actually the Super Bowl, World Series, believe it or not, and the NBA, which I'm not sure why NBA surprised you. That doesn't surprise me.
I wasn't surprised. I just thought that the NHL, the Stanley Cup, would have been a little bit higher. That's all, because people get so crazy.
Dying sport.
I don't know about dying sport. I think those are some fighting words, but No, I think the Stanley Cup. I was just surprised because people get so excited over Stanley Cup playoffs. That was my only reasoning. But nevertheless, with March Madness coming up, it is going to be a nice event. It should be a huge revenue driver. So I think that's going to be the next catalyst for Penn. And the fact that it's been settling around here in this 110 to 120 area, it's allowed me to accumulate in this channel and prepare for the next leg up, which I think we could see after March Madness. They got plenty of other stuff going on, and this is sports betting in general, but Fatman Zoom, you actually pointed out, and I thought that this is really key, and we've talked about this before, especially in the earlier days when Penn was well below $100 a share. The reason we like them so much is because they don't do any kind of crazy amount of spending. We talked about FanDuel and DraftKings, a lot of them, that they spend an exorbitant amount of money on advertising, and Penn continues to just stick right there with them without spending hardly anything on ads or marketing in general. They all rely heavily on that Barstool crowd, and it seems to just be working incredibly well.
Yeah, their marketing strategy is different in their approach, and their investment is in their influencers and Barstool, and then specifically the influencers. And so that's their marketing strategy, is like get behind influencers that have huge followings, right, and run promotions behind them. Dave Portnoy posted, say that 12 times fast, on Twitter yesterday. He did a snapshot of the gaming stocks. Now, I don't know what this was, if this was a state or if this was specifically like the Super Bowl, but he put up, it's one or the other, I think. But he put up the, 3, 6, 9, basically about 12 of the gaming stocks. And it showed their bonus promotions, their revenue, their handle, and basically what they netted. And so a couple things came from it. So the handle, FanDuel had the largest handle at $32.6 million.
Yeah.
DraftKings was at 28 million, and Barstool was right behind them, 27.5. So from a handle perspective, you could say Barstool was essentially in line with DraftKings, tied for second. Yeah. That's where everything else changes. Net gross revenue for FanDuel was negative $5.6 million. DraftKings, negative $1.1 million. Barstool was positive $1.7 million. Nobody else was in the same vicinity. And so, and they spent the least as a handle percentage. And so that was really telling to me, and it confirmed what we've known all along, which is they're the most profitable and they're a lot closer to DraftKings and FanDuel than people realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is why we like the gambling and sports gambling industry as a whole, but why Penn National is so much kind of like is our favorite one out of all of them, or at least my favorite one out of all of them. I know I can speak for Fat Man Zim too, but like that's why we love them so much, because of the way that they have handled this whole situation of just like growing at a rapid pace and all that good stuff. This is just awesome. And this is why Penn is priced where it's at. I think that it's still undervalued here. I think we probably continue to roll higher, but I love it, man. So which one? We're about ready to come up on the close here. So if you guys are just tuning in, we are going to be covering Roku earnings and a couple other ones. Fiverr had earnings earlier this morning too, as well as Walmart. So we'll be talking about those. So real quick, which one do you have now on this pullback? What's your highest conviction?
Tesla. I think Tesla is the one. It's a perfect example of a great stock, a ton of catalysts, holding up fairly nicely, under $800. It's a buy all day. So I continue to just little by little add to Tesla, and I'm going to continue to grow my position. So for sure, Tesla. And I know you're in the same boat. Yeah,
I loaded the boat on this thing, and I even was tempted to add to this. Even still, I have a huge chunk of my portfolio is in Tesla now, that it dipped down to as low as 768. So I love the fact that this came down and gave me another opportunity to get some on the cheap. I feel really good about it. We talked about this on Stockwatch Sunday about some of the tax incentives that are continuing to come down for them, which is just another tailwind for Tesla. Love this one a lot. So I think, in my opinion, anything that you can kind of grab under $800 a share, Should be a steal, in my opinion. So like this one a lot too, my man.
Yep. All right. So let's talk about earnings. The market is now closed. We'll start with Roku earnings. And this is one we featured on Stock Watch Sunday. Roku earnings is expected a loss of 7 cents a share. Brad and I gave our predictions. We both think it's actually going to come in positive.
Yeah.
Brad has it at 1 cent. I have it at 5 cents a share, which doesn't seem like a lot, but is actually pretty substantial. Plus it being positive really helps.
Yes.
This is one we're excited about. Any commentary on Roku?
I just think that if they do come in cash positive, no matter how much it is, it's gonna do extremely well. I think it's just gonna do extremely well. I like Roku. You guys heard me on Stock Watch Sunday about how bullish I am actually on the stock, and we don't have it on here enough and talk about it enough and give it enough love. But man, does it ever deserve it? And I think that if they come in cash positive, despite them running up into earnings here, they might continue to go higher if it's cash positive. If they come in and meet expectations, then it might be a rough after-hour session for Roku. But if they come in cash positive, I have to imagine that this thing does really well here after hours.
Yeah, and they should benefit off of what we saw, the catalyst for the social media companies, digital advertising.
Yeah.
That's really where they make their mark.
Yep.
So we'll be looking out for digital ad revenue. The other one is Big C. So those are where we'll start. We'll watch those charts. But Big C is a loss of 14 cents a share. We haven't talked too much about it, but I love Big C. I think Brad likes it as well.
Yeah.
But they've had 2 earnings so far. They've outperformed both. I don't think this comes in positive, but I think this performs really well. Loss of 5 cents a share. Just throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they should beat any kind of expectations just because of the kind of quarter that they're reporting on. If they struggle through this fourth quarter, then I don't know what else they need in order to get a leg up, because it was the biggest e-commerce quarter ever. And so if they weren't able to capitalize on that, I think that maybe we should start to worry a little bit about Big C. But it's up about 0.5% here after hours. Roku's up around the same. So no word on what their earnings are just yet. And so as they come in, we'll certainly be letting you know and kind of updating you on how the price is reacting to those earnings. Karthik, welcome to the Chaos Crew. So if you guys see Karthik there ended up joining the crew, you can hit the join button next to subscribe and get our daily watch list, as well as access to our portfolios. You guys might have saw last night's video where I put up my recent Webull account, where I started a new account at $5,000 and grew it to come up over PDT with $13,500 profit, and have essentially doubled my account with adding to this every once a month. So if you guys want access to that portfolio and how I was able to do that, how I continue to grow this account substantially and beat the market, hit that join button next to subscribe. We'd love to have you guys over as a part of the Chaos Crew. Just help support the channel, as well as our future endeavors with the studio and all kinds of stuff like that. So definitely would appreciate you guys being a part of the crew.
Somebody said that Big C moved their earnings call to Monday. They're not sure the accuracy of that. It still says, I still searched, it still says today. So we'll start with Roku.
Okay.
We'll keep an eye on that chart. But I don't have anything on either yet.
Okay. Yeah.
And let me
just looking at Roku right now. It is moving up just slightly after hours, but nothing too crazy right now. It just kind of looks like typical after hours behavior. So, Karthik has Applied Materials AMAT earnings numbers, which they just came out with. AMAT, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Looks like they came in and made a splash on their earnings call here. Let's take a look at that. Oh, yeah, really big move here on AMAT. It shot up all the way up to almost $118 a share after closing at $113. Right now, though, it's only up. It's pretty much flat after hours trading. So it looks as if they might have beat AMAT did. It's a semiconductor stock, but it looks really good right now. We'll see if it holds up. But yeah, it looks like it's a pretty solid beat so far. Roku is falling after hours right now. It looks as if maybe earnings might have come out. We'll let you know where they're at right now. 435 is what this actually came down to. So they might not have impressed on earnings so far. Right now it's down around 3% and still falling here in after hours trading. Closed on the day at 452.99 and now has gone down as low as 135.01. So a little bit of a drop here. We'll see what earnings the earnings have to show. And this could go one of two ways. I think, obviously, I don't want to be that guy that says, well, it could go up or it could go down. But if earnings come out and they were actually relatively good or they met expectations and they have a good outlook, this might be a good opportunity to grab Roku on a dip. If by some chance, though, they ended up missing or something like that, they didn't come out with solid numbers, then this could potentially come down further. So we'll continue to watch and see what those numbers actually are. I'm sure you guys will probably help us out with that too, as Fat Man Zoom is looking through and trying to find those numbers for us.
Yep. Looks like it's about to come in. I want to say you're going to see a lot of this, and Walmart missed this morning.
Yeah.
Had earnings, and they also gave they didn't give strong guidance. They gave poor guidance. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this with Fastly earnings, Palantir's earnings. Like, this is a common theme that we've expected probably a little sooner than we thought, but nobody's going to really be bold in like raising their guidance for this year. Cause again, they don't know what to expect. And as more of these sell-offs happen, no company is going to want to give bold guidance. So they're going to be very conservative about guidance. And for these e-commerce and big tech companies, they had huge growth last year, and then they're going to be more conservative. This is going to be the common theme.
Yeah.
Still nothing, but I would expect the same thing from big commerce. Big C is, even if they beat, I don't think they're going to give guidance that's beyond last year. So
I see a couple of people asking about Dropbox. Dropbox did have earnings after hours as well. Not sure what those numbers are, but right now it's still kind of flat. And after hours trading is sitting up just about 1% or so, and kind of all over the place at the moment. And we'll see where this goes. But yeah, if you guys are interested in Dropbox, I'm sure we can pull those up for you as well.
While we have a second and we're waiting for this Roku, I did want to say regarding Tesla, the one thing, if we're going to get on Square, and be bullish about that with Bitcoin, we should be real bullish about Tesla. And that's another thing that, Tesla, Bitcoin's at all-time highs, and they made a huge investment in Bitcoin.
Yeah. $1.5 billion.
I don't think the stocks get reacted.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think people are just kind of forgetting that part.
Which also we put news up about NVIDIA. We were saying last week, like if one of these like legacy companies were smart, they'd focus on blockchain. Well, NVIDIA is not a legacy company. They're a leader, and they showed why.
Yeah.
They're focusing on Ethereum and Ether blockchain platform, which I think is an incredibly smart move. And another reason why we love NVIDIA, and they're the best in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually talked about NVIDIA this morning in our level 3 Chaos Crew group, where we go live from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. So again, if you guys want to be a part of that, come be a part of the crew. But we said that I said that I thought that NVIDIA would be a buy under 600. So it's great stuff for them. Just another reason to love NVIDIA. Venkat, thanks for the donate for $4. Says they aren't reporting BTC gains, only the losses. Someone else says, where are you guys watching for the earnings release? Several resources is what Fat Man Zoom has. He's got Twitter, CNBC, that sort of thing. But Venkat says you guys are the best on YouTube. Great shows. Thanks. Appreciate that, man. If you do more shows with other YouTubers like Don Fron or subscribers to reach down. Yeah, we do. We have Don Fron on ours as well as we were on his. So we love Don. And he was just live earlier this afternoon. But that might be something we actually end up entertaining a little bit more, just having guests on. But and maybe not other influencers, but just guests in general. That's something that we've talked about for a while, but could be something that you guys end up seeing later this year.
Yeah. Twitterverse is really frustrated. Earnings haven't come out as well.
On Roku?
Or haven't come out either. So hopefully in the next couple minutes, we'll get them for you guys and we'll know what happens.
Yeah. So this reaction on Roku is pretty much nothing then, right? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm.
Dropbox beats expectations by 4 cents. Yeah, I just don't understand the infatuation with Dropbox, honestly. There's so many other better cloud computing companies out there, and Dropbox just continues to fall to the wayside. I mean, we just had a conversation with someone last night that's involved with our business side of things, and asking us to, whatever we do as far as sending information over to them, to not use Dropbox. So I just don't get it. And the crazy part about Dropbox is that throughout the pandemic, you would have thought that Dropbox would have done really well because of the area of business that they're in. And they were not able to capitalize on that, unfortunately. I mean, it moved up, but not in a way like you saw from DocuSign or Adobe or even Fastly, some of these other ones that just did extremely well. Dropbox, for whatever reason, just was not able to capitalize on it. And the platform sucks overall. If anybody's tried to use Dropbox at all, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But good for them. They beat earnings.
Trade Desk beat. What's Trade Desk ticker?
TTD. Yeah.
Sales estimates were 208 million. They came in at 214.
Yeah, Trade Desk has been an absolute monster. This is what I'm talking about. Another company that benefited from the pandemic. I hate to say it like that, but they wouldn't be here where they are right now without COVID doing the things that it did. So this has been an absolute monster. I've loved Trade Desk. It was kind of nice to see this have a healthy pullback, and now leading into earnings. That's great stuff for them. I like Trade. Go ahead.
They had a monster beat. I said those numbers wrong. That was actually a revised guidance for next quarter. They increased it a bit, but they beat estimates were $1.88 a share. They came in at $3.71.
Damn.
And their sales were $292 estimate, and they came in at $320 million.
That's wild.
Just great. Yeah. How's the stock doing?
The stock is actually down after hours, around 2% or so. So this might be a good opportunity to grab some on the dip. I mean, I don't know what investors were actually expecting other than, analyst expectations for earnings per share beats. But, for me, I think this could end up being a nice little area of opportunity. I'm not sure what else is in those earnings, why people are a little, shaken by it. But I think there could be an opportunity for Trade Desk around 810, 812 area. And if it can't hold that, then maybe watch for it around 800, and then again perhaps around in the high 780, somewhere around there. But yeah, I like Trade Desk a lot, man. I think this is going to continue to roll. This is a great company. Got nothing but good things to say about them. Roku looks like it's starting to make a move here. It's now up 2% after hours. We got numbers on those just yet?
Nothing yet. Apparently they released them, but it was a broken link, so nobody can see the numbers.
Well, it's rolling right now. It's up now 2.5%, up 465 over the high of the day in today's trading. So this is really, really looking strong here. Looks like potentially average revenue per user.
There we go. Got it. So 58% year-over-year growth. Is that 1.7? 1.7 million platform revenue. These are horrible numbers. Sorry. I'll get gross profit was up 63% to 808 million.
Boy, this thing is rolling.
Roku added 14 million active accounts to reach 51 million. I'll give you some better. This person didn't give any context. So We'll get that in a second. Here we go. Oh, shit. Loss of 7 cents. They came in at 49 cents. 49 cents a share, bro. Positive.
Holy shit. Damn.
650 million revenue versus 620 million expected. Wow.
That's unbelievable.
38% of all smart TVs sold in the U.S. were Roku models.
Damn. Yeah, Roku hit $470 at after hours trading just briefly. It's still up after hours here at 176. And I'll continue to monitor this. I just want to have a brief observation here that Big C is up after hours as well. Nothing too crazy. I don't see a ridiculous amount of volume, but it is up 2%. I don't know if there's actual numbers coming out on that or not. I know there was some question as to whether or not they actually have earnings this afternoon, but that is up at after hours trading right now. And Roku is a bit all over the place. It was up as high as 470. Now actually selling off some in a slightly red.
I know people, this happens every earnings. When they said the Big C earnings call is at 5, those times when they say 435, those are, they meet with investors, they release their numbers, then they have a call that anybody, a public call that investors can jump on.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. When they say 5 p.m., it's not going to be 5 p.m. till we get the numbers, if it is today. But any earnings,
yeah.
I feel like there's always that comment that's put in there.
Yeah. The actual conference call and the earnings report release are two different things.
Yeah. So the call is basically they're going to answer questions and they're going to actually give you context. Now we're just getting the numbers. It's basically like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
The call, you just get the PowerPoint. That's the release. The call is now usually the CEO, the CFO, and one other person are actually telling you what it means and answering specific questions regarding the presentation.
Yep.
But no, nothing yet. Nothing for Big C.
Just to give you an update, Roku is just all over the place. It keeps going from red to green to red again. And right now it is slightly red, spiked up as high as $470 after closing at $453, $452.99 to be exact. But this thing is just everywhere. They crushed earnings. If you're just tuning in, 49 cents a share, you said?
Yeah.
49 cents a share with an expected loss of 7 cents. So that is just a monster beat. I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, obviously we know that, earnings are kind of a crapshoot as far as the reaction from investors are concerned, but I have to say that I am quite surprised the way that this has been moving and that it's not just going off like a rocket ship at this point, considering, those kind of numbers we saw, from Roku in their earnings report. There's gotta be something in there people don't like.
Yeah.
Alan said, I truly think Roku is going to pass up Netflix in price this year. I think I've said that as well. I think that, price is relative, to market cap and that sort of thing. But I've kind of said recently that I think that the big three are going to be Netflix, Disney, and Roku. I know that Roku isn't like a streaming service itself. It's almost kind of like a platform for all the streaming sources. But if we're talking about the industry itself, I think Roku is going to be huge. I mean, it is already, but I think it's just going to continue. I think it's still very much in its infancy, despite how much it's moved. And then it's going to be Disney, Netflix.
Mohammed Mukadi said Big C announced that the company has rescheduled its earnings due to widespread weather-related power outages across central Texas.
Oh, well, there you have it. Thanks, Mohammed. They rescheduled for Monday. So it was originally today. Looks like they rescheduled it for Monday.
And that is 4:20 p.m. Eastern time on the dot.
All right. So there you have it. So a couple of the earnings that came out, Trade Desk ended up coming out and beating earnings. It's actually down after hours around 2.5%. In my opinion, I think with some of the numbers that came out on Trade Desk, this is probably a really good opportunity to potentially grab a dip. I would suggest obviously listening to the conference call, seeing what C-level executives have to say, but it looks to me that this could potentially be an opportunity for Trade Desk. Dropbox ended up coming in and beating earnings. It's up around 1.5%. Not too crazy about that. AMAT came in and crushed earnings as well. Semiconductor, Big C, theirs is going to be rescheduled for Monday. And then Roku, of course, came out and absolutely smashed earnings, and is now trading about 1% down after hours. I think this probably is going to be a good opportunity as well, depending on how far this comes down. Man, bro, I got myself in some cash. Roku's looking like a snack at this point. We'll see what happens, but I'll probably wait till the market opens up tomorrow to get the overall reaction. But this might be a good time to get into Roku if it continues to fall here.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be interesting. I think for me, with Friday being typically a shopping day, Friday sell-off could be real.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm going to probably wait and I'm going to probably make my trades the second half of the day tomorrow, because we've had that push in the morning, little that sell off shortly thereafter. We've had a fake out a couple times. So I do think there's going to be good opportunities tomorrow, and I feel good about next week. I think next week's going to be a green week.
I do too. Oh, that's a great question. Dan Dalton asks, who has had the most impressive earnings in the last 6 months? Wow. I don't know, man.
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom probably is. I mean, they've had the most surprising or most impressive earnings, I think, in the past 9 months. But yeah, Zoom's probably up there for me. I would say so.
Well, because it was 2 earnings ago. If you say 6 months, the last earnings, we knew it.
Yeah.
The one before that was maybe right outside the 6 months. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of ones that just went bananas.
Pinterest.
Pinterest. But yeah, I mean, the Zoom move was insane. We just had one recently this past earnings that had a similar Zoom move that was like 30% in a day.
Yeah. I don't remember which one that was. I will say though, too, just, I know that it didn't yield the same kind of move, but I gotta say, that the way that Disney handled the pandemic and everything, and still were able to come in and meet expectations and actually have such a huge positive outlook. They were able to manage the balance sheet and everything. They were, I think, one of the most impressive. I don't know if it was really all that sexy, but the stock has been going crazy because of the way that they've been actually managing things. And I got to say, I thought that Disney just did an excellent job, probably one of the best jobs that I've seen any of the companies do, trying to navigate through this pandemic. I thought that they just did really, really good. And obviously Disney Plus has helped them out a ton.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Disney is poised once we reopen to make a move. I mean, we talk a lot about travel stocks, nice reopening.
Yeah.
Disney's one you think like when they're back open up and their parks are open, they're firing on all cylinders. That could just be rocket fuel on that stock.
Yep, absolutely. I did see a donation from Crafty Shades of Gray. What's up? Good to see you. She says, do you think the market is going to crash soon? Astrologists have said it will in the spring, this March or April. No, we do not. We actually did talk about that earlier, and we're still bullish on the market overall.
When the market crashes, it's going to be something we can't predict.
Yeah, right.
Just remember that.
Like a pandemic.
Yeah. Will the market crash? At some point, the market will crash again. Who the hell knows when?
Yeah.
But the reality is, people have been talking about the tech bubble since 2000, the housing bubble. Guys, it's not going to be the same. It's unlikely it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be something different that causes these type of crashes.
People keep talking about inflation, and I understand that inflation could and probably will be a problem. It won't be a problem in 2021. It might not even be a problem in 2022. And by the time it starts to become a problem, I'm sure the Fed, government will have something in place. You would think anyway. I'm not going to hold them to it, but I think that we have enough time to think about and to worry about inflation that they will take the appropriate measures in order to make sure that inflationary issues don't affect the economy to the point of a crash. So I do think that that's going to be an issue that needs to be addressed in the future. I don't think that's going to be an issue that needs to be addressed this year, which is what a lot of people are kind of like drawing conclusions to as to why we could see a crash. I just don't think it happens in 2021.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you guys want to be part of the Chaos Crew, get our daily watch list as well as access to our portfolios. Even though we're having a little bit of a down week, we've been absolutely killing it. Overall, I am up around 47% year to date. And in my portfolio, I know Fat Man Zooms, I know you're doing extremely well too in yours. So if you guys want access to that kind of stuff, make sure you're hitting the join button next to subscribe, or the link is in the description too if you can't find it there. We'd love to have you guys a part of the Chaos Crew. It's $4.99 a month. You can't beat it. So just help support the channel. We would love to have you guys over there. That's going to do it for me, Fat Man Zoom. Any closing remarks, sir?
Yeah, go check out onthechaos.com. If you click on join the crew, you can get a description of each level and find out which one that fits for you. If you are currently in level 2 or interested in moving up to level 2, do it quick because there's only about 10 more days until we actually raise the price of level 2. So if you do it before then, you'll get grandfathered in.
Yes, sir. Hit the like button on your way out, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow. We have another video coming out for you at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's going to do it for us. Thanks, guys, so much. Have a good one.
I quit this bitch.
Bye.